But first, there's a place that reminds us of the darker side of mankind, as we discovered at the Historic Museum of Torture Devices in Alton, which features over 40 exhibits of torture devices used throughout history.
The Mineral Springs Hotel, which we're in now, is now a mall, but it was a 90-room hotel. It's the most haunted building in Alton. About 8 years ago, 2 of my 4 children and I went to Europe looking for family in Eastern Europe, and we didn't find family, but we did find torture museums, and we had no idea about the fascination of the history of torture. So after a couple of nights or a couple of days of visiting in the museum in Prague, we decided over a bottle of wine that we would bring one to the States. These are all replications. This device is a Chinese death cage. The person who was being executed was put into the cage balancing on a log, a small log or bricks, and at the ceiling of this thing there is a hole for the neck, and they were put in there and they had to balance with no food or water in this thing until they just either fell off the log or collapsed, and then either their neck would be broken or they would suffocate. This is a device that doesn't kill, but it was used for humiliation, which is another form of torture. And the person would be put into this apparatus with their neck and wrists confined, and they would be placed in the town square, and people would often throw garbage and dead rats and other unpleasant things at them while they were confined in the pillory. We had a bunch of graduate students doing a lot of the research for us, but we have read extensively for the last 8 years, and we keep learning every day. It amazes me how cruel humans can be. Behind me is a gibbet. This one has a skeleton in it, and people were not a skeleton when they were placed in those. These were used in Europe. They were actually used against sheep stealers, and they were used in this country around Key West, where there was a lot of piracy in the 1700s, and the pirates, when captured, would be put in a gibbet, and the gibbet was strung up on a very high pole outside the mouth of the harbor to discourage piracy. They were usually strangled. The pirates were usually strangled first and then placed in the gibbet coated with tar so they lasted longer as a warning. The brank is a head cage, also known as a scold's bridle. These were placed on women who gossiped or nagged their husbands. Husbands could have their wife put into a brank and lead her around the town square, another device of humiliation. The one that I have here has a mechanism that goes under the tongue, and it screws down, and it renders the person unable to speak. And of course, they can't swallow their secretions either, so it was a very humiliating experience. This device that I'm standing next to is a Korat. It's actually an execution device. These were popular throughout Europe, and they were also used in the Philippines. The interesting thing about this device is that the last one used was in 1976 in Spain. This piece of equipment works by having the person sit on the stool. There were a few different styles. Some have this metal band, some had a chain, some just had a rope, but that goes around to the back where there is a turning rod, and as you turn it, it would either tighten a rope or tighten the band. This one also has a spike that comes out and would pith the person in the spinal cord. And death was by asphyxiation. I want people to walk away from this museum with an enlightenment as to some of the things that man has been capable of doing to man, and also a relief and a gratitude that we are not living in these times today.
The owner asks that no one under the age of 13 tour the museum. But in addition to the museum itself, haunted tours of the old hotel are offered periodically throughout the year. To reach the Historic Museum of Tortured Devices, or to find a schedule of tours, go to www.mineralspringshauntedtours.com or call 618-465-3205.